sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support you shower me here with. So today we'll be talking something very important, and it's about this European woman who actually said that black people are making this up, like when we say that they have privilege and that they are not privileged and all that. And the woman gave us examples like, she is a palm-colored woman, the husband and all that, that they do not have any privilege. And a lot of people that stitched the video actually felt like she was lying to herself, and which is true. She is actually lying to herself, because we all know, has she ever been pulled over by a corpse and she is thinking that she may not survive it? She has not. And has she ever applied for a job and she was told that sorry, we don't give job to people that look like you? Or trying to look for an apartment and they tell her that, sorry, we can't lease this apartment to you because we do not want black people in this neighborhood, or people like you cannot be in. I mean, this goes on and on and on and on. But they all the time, they want to tell you that there is no privilege. I mean, let's just get into this video and see what people are talking about this. So let's get into it.
See, all keep claiming like white privilege exists, but I need you to tell me what instances actually do exist and what instances can be proven that are white privilege. Because I can tell you, in my 30 years of being a white female, I've never had any privilege because I'm white. In fact, there's hardly any scholarship just for white people at all. Not only that, there's hardly any school programs for white people. There's hardly any school education of anything for white people alone. And actually, my mother and my father and my fiance, who are white, have never had anything handed to them or given to them by any means because they're white. Like, I don't even think you know what you actually mean by white privilege. Because if white privilege actually did exist, there wouldn't be black people anywhere doing anything, or Hispanic people or Asian people anywhere in the United States doing anything. You wouldn't have black people working at Publix, you wouldn't have black CEOs, you wouldn't have had a black president in this country, you wouldn't have black managers, you wouldn't have black leaders, you wouldn't have black anywhere, anything, Asian anywhere, anything, Hispanic anywhere, anything. Okay? Like, to say that means you disregard every other single race in this country doing anything and succeeding based on hard work and merit and skills that they've learned. And to say it exists means you're also trivializing all the hard work that other races in this country do to succeed. Like, you don't believe what they do even is for anything good, that it's all for naught. And to imply that all of their hard work and the skills that they've learned and everything that they've earned based on merit and character is all for naught is pretty fucking racist. Which makes it even worse to imply that, because now you're saying that why even get all the skills that they have? Why learn anything? Why do anything for success and for the betterment of who these people are and for their character? And the other thing you have to realize is that when people say white privilege doesn't exist, they're not saying that racism and being racist doesn't exist. Because it certainly does, unfortunately. There are people out there who really don't like you based on your skin color. And those are shitty people. I don't give a shit what color you are. You could be black, purple, blue, orange, yellow. I mean, you probably have jaundice if you're yellow, so you should go to the hospital, right? But be whatever color. Nobody really gives a shit. If you're a good person, that's going to show. And if you work hard and you work smart and you do the right things, you're going to succeed in this country no matter what skin color you are or where you're from. See you all. And what instances can be proven that are white privilege?
Sometimes this really is like teaching quantum physics to a sperm cell. Myself and other very educated people have explained to folks just like yourself what white privilege is, and yet y'all sit here and act as though you don't know what it is. Because see, for you, it's the benefits. I can't get a scholarship. They don't have a special scholarship for me. You guys have historical black colleges. You guys got BET. You guys have your whole month. Number one, none of us have a piece of Paramount, the owner of BET. We don't. Been checking my goddamn mail for a while now. Still haven't got my BET check yet. Historical black colleges have white students on them. Y'all focus on the black part, I know. I understand that. I get it. There are 12 months in a calendar. We have Black History Month is the shortest. And even in that, there's President's Day. We don't own the motherfucking calendar. As far as scholarships are concerned, why don't y'all ever give any of this heat when Winthrop Trowfaz the fucking 8th goes to school on a legacy admission because his daddy put a wing on the motherfucking library and built them a football stadium? White privilege is being Kyle Rittenhouse and being treated like a hero, and not being Elijah McClain, who didn't kill anybody, who was shot up with ketamine and died. White privilege is being Kyle Rittenhouse and not Philando Castile. Legal gun owner, shot to death in front of his girlfriend and stepdaughter. Pillar of the community, never did anything wrong. Kids loved him. Oh, white privilege is being able to do a crime and then not have your reputation dragged through the mud. White privilege is Brock Turner. Basically get away with nothing but a slap on the wrist for a sexual assault. Because, here's a promising future, this promising young man. White privilege is being a part of the Ku Klux Klan, which is America's oldest terrorist organization, and not have the full force of the Federal Bureau of Investigations up your ass every time you say white anything. And not being Fred Hampton, who was drugged by an FBI informant and shot to death while he was asleep. White privilege is being the Ku Klux Klan and being basically treated like nothing happened. And not the Black Panthers, which, along with other radical black nationalists, or black revolutionaries, were labeled the biggest threat to democracy in America by J. Edgar Hoover. White privilege is being Cliven Bundy, not paying his taxes for allowing his punk-ass cows to eat grass he wasn't supposed to, then have a fucking armed standoff with the fucking federales and not get blown away. White privilege is not being Ahmaud Arbery, being assumed to be a thug and a thief and a criminal stealing out of a house and then being gunned down by 3 vigilantes. But if it had been a white boy running around there, nobody would have said shit. White privilege is knowing that the justice system will never look at you like a threat. But no matter what we do, we are. Does your sphincter kind of squeeze up every time a cop gets behind you? Mine does. No matter what I'm doing. Tags legal, illegal. Got my driver's license, don't got my driver's license. Every time a cop gets behind me, my sphincter squeezes up, and you know what? I'm not the only one. You can drive reckless. You can cuss a cop out. You can tell him, I ain't taking any fucking ticket, bro. You can be a white guy that pulls a fucking gun out on the police and not get blown to kingdom come. You can be a white woman walking into a police station using a gun as a little knocker and then shooting off, busting off in the police station and not being sent to the stairway to heaven. That's white privilege. White privilege is being able to say Chicago when you really want to say the N-word. It's being able to call somebody a criminal or a thug. White privilege is being able to see a video with a man with a knee on his neck for over 9 minutes, being able to drag him through the mud 3 years after his death and get away with it. White privilege is having books about Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer and Charles Manson come out twice a year. You don't know what white privilege is. Because you're looking at benefits. We're looking at tangible fucking evidence that it exists. White privilege is believing that affirmative action helped the blacks when it was actually white women like yourself that benefited from it the most. White privilege is having a Supreme Court tell you that affirmative action no longer needs to be done. Everything's fair now. White privilege is calling every protest for a black life that is lost a riot. And making up fictional stories about how BLM burned down America for racial justice. But when a group of vigilante, goofy motherfucking MAGA voters storm the fucking Capitol, y'all want to optical illusion that shit. Y'all want to give it every fucking name except what it actually is, an insurrection. White privilege is having an entire news channel basically tell you that you're the victim. And that is the evil darkies and the evil Spanish speakers and the gays that are taking everything from you. White privilege is being a gay white man that's able to just say all kinds of off-the-wall bullshit and get away with it. But chastise a gay black man for even saying half of it. These are just some of the examples of white privilege. I know you want to look at all the benefits that minorities seem to have. We don't. White privilege is being told that AP African American history has no educational value. The irony being, AP African American history is American history. But because it had African American or blick on it, we can get rid of it. White privilege is having books banned simply because you want to yell out CRT. Everything's CRT. Apparently CRT is out here touching children like Catholic priests. I know this was a futile, wasted effort on my part because you're not going to get it no matter how many times it's broken down to you. But in case you needed to know, that is white privilege. I would look some of this other stuff up. You'd be surprised what you get by simply being Caucasian in this country.
And what instances can be proven that are white privilege?
Good morning, young lady. As I sip my daughter's blended coffee of lion mane, I'm going to give you not only an example of white privilege, but the birth of white privilege. April 12, 1861, the Confederacy bombarded Fort Sumter, owned by, at the time, the federal government, better known as the Union, right? And up until this point, there was a lot of back and forth. The Confederacy told a lot of black folks that, if they fought, they would no longer be slaves. And also, the Union was talking about giving black people's 40 acres and a mule. Now, that's post-Civil War. But during the time, on paper, Confederacy was anti-government, right? And they decided to go to war with the United States government. Thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives over this war, right? And the notion was black people after the war were going to get 40 acres and a mule. Well, immediately following the conclusion of the Civil War, those white men who went against the government were given their land and property back. So white privilege, that's the birth of white privilege. A group of white people who wanted to disassociate themselves not only from the government, but went to war with the government, was able to not only keep their property and their land, but to remain in the same country. Now, in your 30 years of experience, I can tell you, compared to my 46 years of experience, you can never find another incident in another country where said occupants of a country can go to war with the government, not only lose, but remain in that country and still keep their property. And that is a textbook answer in regards to your question pertaining to white privilege. It's bigger than a singular individual like yourself. Well, as a white woman, I've never had privilege. Yes, you have. You're probably just too self-absorbed to see it. Probably went over your head. But that's neither here or there, as I'm not here to attack you or to shun you or to talk down to you. I'm just here as an educated person who's proficient in history to provide an answer, hoping to give you some clarity in regards to your question. With that being said, enjoy your Sunday, and if you go to church, remember, Jesus loves you.
See, you all keep claiming like white privilege exists, but I need you to tell me what instances.
So I'll give you this. Obviously, you see I'm white. My kid's white. You're absolutely right about the whole college thing. We do not, as white people, have that many scholarships. Most kids have to earn grades to get their scholarships. Trust me, it was hard. I think we finally found an extra one that she had blonde hair. I don't know. Otherwise, heritage, all that didn't count. It was her grades and something about blonde hair. I'm not quite sure how we got that one. But I will have to say, some people have white privilege. Mainly upper white class people have the privilege. I played the white card for once in my all-time life. And that was when my car got stolen. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Kia boys, but they steal Hondas and Kias between 2012 and 2021. And mine was a 2020. They stole the car. My niece and I found the car a block up from where we live. The day after, there was actually a few kids, backstory, drove by, and I kept looking, because people kept on slowing down because they see cops, and then, obviously, they see my car, it's broken into, parked in a weird spot, and at one point, these two kids roll up in a Suburban, and I was going to turn around because I was so fed up, I was going to be like, what the F do you need, right? He goes, hey, was that car there the other morning? I said, no, my car was stolen last night, this is my, it's only been here since overnight. He goes, same exact car minus the stickers was there on a couple days previous. Plus my aunt's car was stolen and blah, blah, blah. And we're talking about, I want to say they were like half Mexican, half Samoans. Next thing I know, his aunt's coming out, his sister's coming out. Everybody's coming out. They're like, yeah, everybody we know, our cars get stolen and nothing really happens. Cops come out. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to give a police report. And I literally pulled the white card. And I was like, hey, you need a fingerprint. They found a scooter in the car. They found a random female T-shirt in my car. They stole everything out of the car, but they left I'll tell you this, it's more than a $300 scooter in that car. So they ended up fingerprinting my whole car. I was probably only one around here that has their car been stolen by the Kia boys. And I think that's the only car I've ever pulled in my life. Otherwise, cops love me. They like to pull me over. I can't get out of a ticket. My life depends on it. Go to court. There's no way of winning it. Hell, I lost my job. I can't even find a goddamn job. Everybody's talking about, oh, it's so easy to get a job. Oh, no, it's not so easy, people. Not so easy. Let me explain. So these days, it's all computerized, right? So if you don't have a common last name like Hernandez, Jones, Smith, whatever, right? The computer does it. The computer recognizes it that way. Also, it goes by keywords of your resume. Well, nothing's personalized anymore, so you don't see anybody in person. It's all just computer, and computer randomizes. I swear to God, I filled out an application. Literally got denied within 2 seconds of it. I call up the company. I'm like, well, why was I denied on my resume? I have the credentials right there. Well, it says you are a personal assistant. It doesn't say accounting. I go, if you actually read on the resume, it says accounting. She goes, well, you can resubmit it again. I go, no, because to me, you didn't actually go through it. You had a computer generate it. So, yeah, there's no privilege of me being white at all. But I get her point, and I get other people's points too. But I think it's more the upper white class that have the privilege, the people who can pay their way out of stuff. Not the low white people like me, okay? So, but that's my opinion. Everybody has their opinion, and I don't want you guys judging anything based on what I say. This is just my opinion. And I still respect everybody on their opinions. I don't see why anything else. But thank you for letting me vent.
So you all keep claiming like white privilege exists, but I need you to tell me what instances.
This is for educational purposes only. I'm not here to harass or intimidate. I am here to question why you are asking this question, though, because it is sounding a whole lot like rage farming or laziness. Seeing as there's all kinds of studies, there's books and buildings full of studies that indicate what white privilege is, demonstrate how it affects communities, and affect how it is inherent and baked into the foundations of this country. Yeah, it's there. It's easy enough to find. I'm really not sure why you're asking people this question other than either A, rage farming, or B, laziness. But in regards to white privilege, let me explain and clarify something for you. White privilege does not necessarily mean that as a white person, your life is easy, that you get to lay back in glorious splendor and like everything is handed to you on a silver platter. That's not what white privilege means. What white privilege means is this, that every other ethnic, race, creed, religion, so forth, in the United States that is not specifically white and usually male means that there are going to be additional obstacles or boundaries on your path that are not on theirs. Life is hard for everybody, but there are fewer obstacles on the path of a white male. There are slightly more obstacles on the path of a white woman. And then as you continue down the pecking order, there are more and more obstacles until you get to the point where a person essentially has to dance on tiptoes for the entirety of their life in order to avoid being thrown into jail, in order to avoid basically being left destitute, in order to avoid being miseducated or not receiving proper education in their schools because the schools are underfunded. And many, many, many other obstacles. So when we say white privilege, it's not like we're saying, oh, you just get to sit back la-di-da and eat dumplings and bonbons all day and drink champagne and life is glorious just because you're white. No. That's not what anybody's saying. That's not what anybody means. What everyone is saying is that in this country, that the way things are currently set up, that if you happen to be white, Christian, and male, you're essentially getting to play the game on easy, and that everybody else has additional obstacles in their path that they have to jump over or navigate in order to be able to get through life on a regular and daily basis. And if you don't believe me, I think the first thing you probably should go to look at, which is the easiest thing to go look at, is the wage statistics. People with similar or same educational degrees and so forth, based on their, their education and so forth, and their salaries. If you line A up next to B, white men with a degree make more money than white women with a degree, make more money than black women with a degree, make more money than, and so on and so forth. But it's easy enough to look up. You have access to Google. I'm sure you do, because you recorded your strange question on a glowing screen that is likely connected to a computer or a cell phone. So it's not as if you couldn't have Googled all this information yourself, versus either A, rage farming, which we know what that is now, which is why I'm more likely than not going to disassociate from you after I've posted this posting. Or B, laziness, because it's easier to ask someone than it is to do the work, which is part of the reason, too, why racism and white privilege still exists in this country, because there is this expectation of white women in proximity to white men that black people are here to work for you for free. And I'm feeling generous today, so this is why I'm offering this advice. You need to stop that. You need to find another way to make your money or to get your followers up.
So this is all I got from the stitches, and it is just how quick they are to tell you that they do not have white privilege. When their white privilege or privileges are out there looking at them, screaming in their faces. Have they actually knocked on the wrong door and been shot straight up? Of course not. Have they been pulled over by a cop and you are thinking you may not survive it, or you may survive? Of course not. Have they ever gone out with their kids and their kids are playing probably with their phone, running around, and their kid gets pew by a cop just because a child was with their phone, and they thought it was like a pew? Have you ever been playing with a water gun at the park or outside, and the cops pew a child because they felt it was a real? Have you ever gone outside to trash your dustbin and then you are being arrested because you look like a suspect or you resemble someone they are looking for? Of course not. Have you ever gone fishing and the community are rounding you to know if you live in that community to fish? Of course not. Have you ever called in for a job interview and you don't sound right, and they tell you we are sorry because you don't sound like what we want? Of course not. Have you ever been looking for an apartment and then just to get for them to tell you that sorry, we don't lease house to people that look like? Of course not. And this goes on and on and on and on and on. Black people are not able to get jobs because they are able to detect their names when they see it. This goes on and on and on and on and on. But then they are always very quick to tell you that they do not have that privilege. And you all have that privilege. It is because you all refuse to acknowledge it and know it and understand that this is a privilege. Some of them, anyway, this is just like all I got to say, but they are always very quick to run out to the internet to tell you that they do not have privilege, that black people are making it up. Yeah, we are making it up, and I hope you understand that we are making it up. And I hope you switch. And still, if you tell them to swap places with a black person for just a day, they will never do it. And they will never also give up their skin color for anything. Does that make sense to you right now? So you all have that privilege and you all know it, but you all are dancing around this thing to